Election member for Nelson Creston.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Well, it's my pleasure to rise today to talk about the importance that bus passes have in our community. Honourable Speaker, many people with disabilities rely on their bus passes to get around. In fact, they say it gives them freedom. And I'm able to talk about that today because I have been touring around the province, as well as hearing from a lot of people via social media, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, or people emailing my office, giving me a phone call as well. But going out and talking to people face-to-face is incredibly valuable, Honourable Speaker. And I've been doing that around the province, and specifically talking to people with disabilities at bus stops about why their bus pass is so incredibly valuable to them. And what I hear over and over and over again, Honourable Speaker, whether I'm talking face-to-face to people, as I said, or through various mediums, is that bus passes give people freedom. It gives them the opportunity to be included and involved in their community, to get to a volunteer position, or to get to work, a part-time job. That bus pass is what enables them to do that. A lot of things that people who are fully able take for granted on a day-to-day basis, being able to go for a walk in the park, go to movies, and so on. People with disabilities require that bus pass to be able to get to that location, to do that, to be involved in their community, to be seen, to be able to talk to strangers and new people, to enjoy all that being out and about has to offer. It's that bus pass that gives them the opportunity to do that, Honourable Speaker. And for those who are not able to get a bus pass, here in BC, what they have been able to access is called an alternative transportation subsidy. Unfortunately, right now, that subsidy is only available in communities that have a transit system. It's not available in rural communities like half of my riding in Creston. If we expanded that as a province, I think we would hear a lot more about accessibility for people with disabilities being able to be included into their communities. But that is not what has happened this year, Honourable Speaker. Our budget this year, the provincial government's budget this year, on one hand, lifted rates for people with disabilities, which was well overdue after 9 years, but at the same time, took with the other hand and is increasing those bus pass fees by $52 a month. And so as I'm talking to people around the province, as I'm talking to them, Honourable Speaker, this is what they have to tell me. They now have a choice, and it's by no means the choice that they've been told that they have from this government. Their choice is actually, do they keep the full $77, Honourable Speaker, forego their bus pass, stay at home and be able to afford the increased costs associated with food, increased costs associated with hydro. We all know that hydro rates have been going up under this government, 28%, Honourable Speaker. We know that rents often go up, Honourable Speaker, and they're having to pay increased rents. So they now have an extra $77 a month that would help them cover those costs. These are people who are living in poverty already, Honourable Speaker, so every penny counts for them. So would they be able to cover those costs? That's the question they're asking themselves. Or should they continue to be involved in their community and give up $52 of that $77 each month for their bus pass? Because right now, they don't pay that $52 a month. They pay a mere $45 a year, and that's fair, Honourable Speaker. It's fair for people with disabilities who have many, many barriers in their life to reduce barriers of accessibility and inclusion in their communities by ensuring that bus passes are at a very low cost. In the United Kingdom, for example, Honourable Speaker, people with disabilities get a free bus pass. They get a free bus pass because that society values the importance of inclusion of people with disabilities in their communities. So right now, people with disabilities are faced with this choice, as I mentioned, and everywhere I go, this seems to be the case. I was talking to Cass Kennedy in Kamloops. She stopped me as she was transferring between her two buses to tell me that she's really concerned. Does she keep her bus pass? She needs that bus pass to be able to get to her doctor's appointments, to be able to go see her family and her friends, or does she give that bus pass up because she has specialized diet and she has that extra food cost? And I've been hearing that very story all over this province, Honourable Speaker. I heard it in Coquitlam, I heard it in Vernon, and in Maple Ridge as well. And this is very disconcerting to hear that people who are living at the lowest income brackets in our province are being faced with this type of choice of being included in their community or having to pay those extra costs for basics like food and rent and utilities. That's the real choice that they are facing. And time and again, it's frustrating to see that this government isn't hearing that. So I'm hoping that today with this exchange that they will hear that message, that thousands and thousands and thousands of people with disabilities are coming forward to share their personal stories of struggles, hoping that government will hear that and reverse this decision to increase bus pass fees that are going to put them into a difficult place of making very, very hard choices. So we need to reverse this bus pass clawback. We need to reverse any type of clawback that is going to be associated with this rate increase. And if we are truly committed to ensuring that every person with a disability in our province is able to access transportation, we need to start hearing from them what kind of transportations they need and what kind of subsidies and supports they need to be able to do that. And I know that in my riding, Honourable Speaker, as I mentioned, half of my riding is not able to access transportation subsidies. Well, let's expand the existing subsidies to those rural areas so that they can get out and be involved in the community.
Thank you. I recognize the member for Boundary, Smickley.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am pleased to respond to the member from Nelson Creston on this important issue to all people in British Columbia living with a disability and receiving disability assistance. British Columbia is a very large province and has a mostly rural and remote landscape. In many areas of my riding, there is no public transport system available for anyone with or without a disability. Prior to the announcement by the Minister of $77 being added to those eligible for disability assistance, only those living in areas where public transportation was available received a bus pass valued at approximately $50. The new legislation now allows all people receiving disability benefits to make their own choice of how they pay for transportation, depending on what their individual transportation needs are and regardless of where they live in the province of British Columbia. In my area, they may choose to pay a friend's fuel to take them to an appointment or get a taxi if available. Until this legislation, 45,000 people living outside of public transit availability received no transportation allowance at all. We are making every effort to make the lives of all British Columbians living with a disability better. Transportation needs and availability are different based on where you live, and now choices can be made by each individual. This is only one of the many pieces of legislation that benefit all people, including the riding of Nelson Creston, receiving disability assistance. Honourable Speaker, Budget 2016 provides an additional $170 million to raise assistance rates for people with disabilities in BC. The subsidized annual bus pass program continues, and there is no change to the application or renewal process. This increase provides fairness in the system and more choice for people on disability assistance. Now everyone on disability assistance will receive the same level of assistance no matter where they live. On September the 1st, all 100,000 people receiving disability assistance will receive an increase of up to $77 in their monthly rates, depending on the choice they make. Those who have been receiving a subsidized bus pass and want to keep it will get an increase of $25. We will continue to provide an annual bus pass for those seniors who are eligible and persons with a disability who want one. The process will not change. People receiving the special transportation subsidy worth $66 per month will still receive that support, plus an additional $11 per month. The 45,000 people who have not received any transportation support in the past will receive an increase of the full $77 in their monthly rates. While our government understands that people hope to see a larger increase in rates, these changes do ensure everyone receiving disability assistance will benefit. Honourable Speaker, our government set a vision for BC to become the most progressive place for people with disabilities in Canada. And to achieve this vision, we released Accessibility 2024 in June 2014, a 10-year action plan to increase accessibility and decrease barriers for people with disabilities. Close to 100,000 British Columbians are designated persons with disabilities and receive disability assistance from the provincial government. This number has doubled since 2001. This year, the Ministry of Social Development and Social Innovation will provide more than $1 billion in disability assistance for 2016-17, a 289% increase from 2001-2002. And we will also provide $879 million in base funding to Community Living BC, which supports more than 18,000 individuals with developmental disabilities. In 2013, Community Living BC launched a 3-year community action employment plan to increase the number of people with developmental disabilities who are working. And after 2 years, it has grown from 2,200 to 3,600 people. Honourable Speaker, transportation assistance is essential for people with disabilities. The subsidized annual bus pass program continues, and there is no change to the application or renewal process. This increase provides fairness in the system across British Columbia and more choice for people on disability assistance. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Member. Member for Nelson Crescent.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. First, let me say that I've been hearing very loudly from my constituents about this bus pass clawback. And specifically, the people with disabilities community have met with me. They've written letters, and I'm going to quote from their letter, their view of this new bus pass fee. And they're well aware that the application process hasn't changed and that the bus pass is still available. What they're talking about is the new fee. And that's what I was talking about, Honourable Speaker. And here's a quote from their letters of what they wrote me and what they think of this new fee. 2 thumbs down, Honourable Speaker. They were very, very clear on what they thought. And I hear what members opposite are saying when we talk about 45,000 people who haven't had any transportation subsidy at all. We know that those numbers are there. How this government chose to address that is wrong, Honourable Speaker. They failed to recognize the realities that people with disabilities have and the financial pressures that exist in their life and the increased financial pressures that this government has put on them. They've absolutely failed. And as people with disabilities speak out to share those realities, this government has dug in and has shut them down over and over and over again. Honourable Speaker, that is wrong. Pardon me, Honourable Speaker, I will bring it back. The member opposite talked about Accessibility 2024, and I'm glad that she did, because I would like to talk about it as well. Accessibility 2024 says this about transportation: that government will continue to work with communities to support discussions on transit options for persons with disabilities. To me and to people across this province, that was a distinct commitment to expand BC Transit, to more rural communities, to give the option of the bus pass. But more importantly, Honourable Speaker, Accessibility 2024 was one of the largest consultations with people with disabilities that this government ever undertook, and I applaud them for that. They heard from thousands of people on what they needed for a more accessible community, for a more accessible province, and to reach that goal of the most accessible jurisdiction in Canada. But no one talked about increasing bus pass fees in that process, Honourable Speaker. They talked about increasing transit options to rural areas, Honourable Speaker. That type of consultation, that type of discussion is available for this government to undertake to have a better understanding of what are the transportation needs for people with disabilities in rural areas. We know that we could expand those
Thank you, Member.
transportation options so that everybody in this province is able to be included in their community, and I implore
you.
this government to
Thank
do
you,
that.
Member.
Thank you.